All right, we are live. All you freedom-loving boys and girls, men and women, wherever you are, whomever you are, on this glorious big marble, blue marble we call Earth, Mark, Centerline Systems. And I know there's some people who say I should do that more like a Saturday night intro live at Centerline Systems, but we'll get to that. Hey, we've got a very special guest tonight, Murphy. I'm laughing because when he and I have talked on the phone, next thing you know, it's like 4 hours later. So hopefully this just doesn't turn into a total shit show of a live stream, but great guy, all kinds of fun things to talk about. I think the gist of it is going to be like why we all need more campfires in our life. And I know that's kind of like, well, what the hell does that mean? It'll be more clear when we bring them on. But as always, I'm just killing just a little bit of time, letting the live stream catch up. And I wanted to revisit something we talked about a long time ago, which was I was going to redo the flap on the Babs. So this is the flap. This is my Babs. You know, I kind of told everybody it's kind of I've been using it for a little CCW, but redesign the flap. And I'm here to tell you, I don't know why anyone didn't scold me on this. This, you know, we've been doing this style flap now for a while with these cut off edges. Man, for the Babs, I don't need it on my Gap pouch because I don't wear my Gap pouch over my shoulder. But for an over-the-shoulder bag, that's the money right there. So for everybody between now, so when I get these, I get new pictures on the website, it'll always be like this. Between now and then, as you guys know, I call every customer. So when I call you, if you've ordered a Babs and I'm going over everything before I start cutting material, that's what it's gonna end up being right there. And then one last little quick plug is we've got the charity auction coming up soon, and I'm hoping that Thursday's guests are going to be the guys from RTG and Evan Sambita from Sambita Knives, and we're going to sit and explain what the charity auction is and get that going. Hey, so before I get track-a-lacking, we're going to bring our guest on, but we had already a bunch of comments, so let me just kind of bring these up real quickly. Hey, Murph, you good down there? I'm just going to bring these comments up real quickly. All right, here we go. So we got Mike in the Woods. Oi, oi, oi. We always need more outdoors time. Roger to the Dodger. We got Gene from across the pond with a great dad joke already, kind of based on the AI that we did for Murph's thumbnail. What do you call an animal doing weights in the woods? A bear bell. Yeah, okay. Snowshoe Dave checking in. We got Dustin from Dustin. Yeah, all right. Hey, Mark. Hey, Murphy. Hey, Dustin. How you doing, sir? We got Al in the house. He's raising his glasses of cheers. Then Gene was probably talking about the Babs. Yeah, super sexy, super clean. Al throwing me into the bus. I'm not cutting corners, but I am cutting the corners on your pocket flap. Yes, indeed. And we got Tennessee saying, hiya, boys. And on that note, with the big explosion, hiya, let's bring on our guest for tonight, Murph. Welcome to Centerline Systems, our silly little live stream. Thank you for joining. How the hell are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing great, man. I appreciate it. I've got a line of middle school and elementary school teachers that are probably ready to scold you for giving me a voice. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you know, and for them, you know, that's why there's radio and silent film and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they did not like to hear me in school. So the fact that I could do this, I appreciate it.
You got it. Hey, you know, before we kind of jump into, you know, you and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, just talking about that campfire premise. But hey, how about, if you don't mind, how about starting off just telling everybody, you know, whatever you're willing to share, a little bit about yourself, and then if you don't mind, I think let's just, after we're done, you introducing you to our audience here, whether it's live stream or on demand, and then let's maybe talk a little bit about Blade Show, because you just came back from Blade Show over the weekend, right?
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Tell everybody a little about yourself.
Well, I'm it feels like a dating profile. You know, I'm a single dad. I've got a great daughter. I have, you know, I'm a Midwesterner here in the lovely state of Indiana. I'll tell you that much. I've been in the Marine Corps infantry was in the Marine Corps infantry for a long time. Had a lot of fun there. Thought when I joined that I would never leave Southern California. And thank God I was wrong, because I hated Southern California. And I got a lot of opportunity to go somewhere else. The taxpayers afforded me a lot of opportunity to go other places and do things that probably would have had me arrested otherwise. And And now I've, and it was all great fun. Don't get me wrong. And it was, for the defense of the country or something. I don't know what it was, but they shrouded it somehow. Anyway, had a lot of blast. I had a blast. Yeah. So then I got into some knife making stuff with a buddy of mine. He'd been doing it forever. I was just helping him. I'm not a knife maker personally. I think that gets misconstrued sometimes. I think people think I make the knives. I do not. I'm just a huge fan of knives. So don't call me for a blade. I can't. I can maybe recommend one, but I cannot make you one. I can make one, but it's going to be horrible. But anyway, yeah, that leads to Blade Show, right? Is that what you're wanting to talk about?
Well, yeah, but before we go into Blade Show, and that was a good segue with your "Don't call me a knife maker," but hey, but no, let's kind of take it back a second, because I love how you said, like the taxpayers, paid for all that great adventure, and I think that's you kind of. I don't think I'd ever heard you. I don't think I've heard you say that before, but that's actually kind of one of my lines. Like people be like, "Oh, thank you for this." I'm like, I volunteered, and you don't know how much your tax like. You kept me being a kid for like, there. I remember finishing. Well, here, this is the agency, but I finished like the agency's like top tier surveillance course, and I just remember saying, I was like looking around, like I got paid to do that. I would have given you my paycheck to have gone and done that whole thing.
Yeah.
It's that. I don't think some people quite get it. It's like, no, you're getting paid to blow shit up and train and work your ass off, and for some of us. I would have been willing to pay other people to do that,
Well, and can you imagine like where you are now? Can you imagine back then having Instagram and being able to live stream it, take pictures of it, and do all these cool like toes in the water type photos that all these IG models and stuff do? Like you're basically getting paid to travel the world and do that cool stuff and get drunk, but do fun shit on the side with their militaries. Like that's insane. And we didn't have that, luckily. Thank God we didn't have that. Yeah, I'm so glad smartphones didn't exist when I was like really at the height of my silliness there.
Yeah, and maybe we should hold off on that because my next question is, I wonder what it's like for people doing that now. I mean, are they posting that shit all over the place? I mean, because obviously there's a lot of OPSEC and other things, operational security and things like that you should be concerned about. But I wonder. I did hear that they actually are letting them have they let them have cell phones in basic now. Well, the Army does anyway.
I know the Marine Corps doesn't. I know that for sure. They do not. They get them, I think, at the School of Infantry. Whether you go to MCT or ITB, you absolutely get to have them. But I don't know how they are in the field with them as far as like, excuse me, when you go to like student status, I don't know how they are there. I don't know.
Well, hey, if there's anybody watching this live, or even if you're just watching this on demand, right now, I mean, if you're in the military recently, I know the Marine Corps is talking about some crazy stuff right now. Jack from Black Scout Survival just did a video on that, accelerating people to the rank of gunny, which, I may not have been in the Marine Corps, but I understand the rank structure throughout the military, and that's just absurd. But I digress. Let's bring it over to you, Murph, and let's go with let's maybe on that knife thing. So okay, so there was a little bit of like you don't have to thank us. Your tax dollars paid for me to just continue being a kid for like 30 years of my life. But Blade Show, how was that? And what is Blade Show? Because not everybody who's watching this will know what Blade Show even is. So can you just give everybody a little data dump on, because you just were there over the weekend?
Yeah. Well, before I forget, you're talking about the tax dollars. Don't forget, while we were in using tax dollars, we were still paying taxes.
Yes.
So we were paying ourselves, is how stupid that is.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And our tax dollars also went to pay for our food and like all that stuff that you think is free. No, you actually still paid for a lot of that. So
right.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, no. So okay, Blade Show, and they have several iterations now. They have Blade Show West, which was, or that's, I think it's in Utah now. But Blade Show is the world's largest knife show. It's held every year in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Cobb Galleria. I think my buddy TM Hunt Custom Knives, I think we have been together doing the Blade Show for 10 or 12 years now, something like that. It's a blast, man. If you're into knives or edge tools, weapons, any of that stuff, I mean, anything sharp, they've got it. If you're looking to make your first knife, they've got it. And I don't want anybody to ever be intimidated by it, because it is so much fun. The knife community is so welcoming. If you come up, we've had so many people that come up and say, "Hey, I want to buy a knife." Cool. Hey, I've been making knives for 2 years, and they pull out this knife that they're like, you can tell they're hesitant to show you, but they're proud of. Man, it is amazing. It is such a cool community. Like I said, I've been into knives since I was a kid. It's my first knife. But there's also, because of this, I've gotten further into it. And really what got me into knives later, I guess, I know I'm going to go off on a tangent, but what got me into it was I got really sick of reading all the gun banter online. The caliber, the flavor of the week. Everybody was into 6.2, 6.8, 5.56 way back, but all these things that were going to be the new hot caliber, and it like 300, all this stuff. And I just got tired of it. Everybody has an opinion, and they think they're right. That's the problem. So I was like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm pulling out of talking firearms on the internet. I'm done with it. I'm gonna go save money, go get into knives. I was fucking wrong. I 100% have not saved any money switching to knives. I have probably doubled down. But it's such a cool community, man. You meet so many great makers, and they're all there. I don't know how many dealers they have. I mean, if you're looking for handle material, the little, I don't know if you can see this or not, but these little, here we go. There, I'm looking. These like little screws in the handles. If you're looking for those little screws, they've got them there. If you're looking for, hell, actually, let me show this. That sheath. I'm backwards. All right, so that sheath right there is a buddy of mine. He makes sheaths. I picked that knife up, or that sheath up, for a knife of mine at Blade Show. Anything you want, they've got it. If it's knife related or edge tool related, axes, swords, anything, they've got it. And it's all downtown in Atlanta. You'll see everything from tactical Timmys to bushcraft bobbies walking around town after the show. Like, everybody's hitting all these restaurants and bars and stuff later. I mean, it goes till 6 p.m, the show, every night, and then it hits or except for Sunday. Sunday, I think, is it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday is the show. Friday and Saturday run till about 6 p.m. Sunday runs till 2 p.m. and then everybody's got to pack up and leave. But dude, it is so much fun, and it's one of the highlights of my year every year, because that's what I like doing, is talking knives and talking to customers and talking to people about how they've used their knives. So that's where I get into it. But it was like I said, world's largest knife show. If you're in Texas, if you're in Utah, or if you're in Georgia, or any of those areas, you can get to one of those, I'm sure, with a couple hours drive. Man, it's I don't know what the prices are now, because I go as a vendor, so I don't pay anything. Actually, Todd pays to get me in, so it's even better. Dude, it's a great community. It's an awesome experience. It's great for the family. We see a lot of families come through. Kids buying their first knives, husbands and wives, just coming in to shop because she wants him to have a hobby, or he wants to make her a kitchen knife, or whatever the deal is. And that's a generalization. I'm not putting that crap on anybody, but that's what I've seen over the years, is exactly the kind of people that come in there, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw the podcast where I had Evan Sambita on, and he's a knife maker, and I'm going to try to get him on Thursday when we do because we're just going to start talking about a charity auction, and he's donating one of his knives for this charity auction we're going to do for this readiness training group, a bunch of cops that provide free training for school resource officers. That'll be Thursday. But to your point, because you said kitchen knives, and everybody everybody thinks what you're just thinking of, like, a bushcraft knife, or a combat, or survival type of knife. It's also all of the kitchen knives, and all that. Yeah. There's so many more facets to it. It's not just, here's my, this is a knife. It's not that at all, right? Hey, and you already answered it. So you're there at a vendor booth now, right? Yeah.
Now we've got and I'm not dropping a plug, but Set Supply is who we were there with this year. Todd decided he was gonna pull out as a vendor about a year ago. He was done, and then he started. A buddy of his that did all his marketing and stuff said, "Hey, I'm going to set up a handle making material." And you think, man, how much really market is there for any of that? I mean, any knife you have, if it's of any value or safety for you, is going to have a handle, and with a handle comes material. So it could be anything from just, this kind of like cheap kind of plastic stuff to, I mean, you got buffalo horn. There's all kind of crazy African woods and things that people use. Man, it's amazing. It's all there.
And, just to give Evan a plug, I mean, and I'm sure there's other guys doing it too, but there's even more phosphorescent and different types of materials. So when you're doing that micarta, you can actually weave other materials in there to give it, a different design or even a glow in the dark kind of aspect to it. So pretty cool.
Well, you know it as a maker yourself, man. It's only limited by your creativity. I mean, you can do so much with anything you make. It's just limited by your imagination. It's like plastic explosives. It's like being a demolitions guy.
Yeah, well, see, but when it comes to plastic, somebody's providing that for, as a maker, the only other thing you're really limited by is like, what's your minimum order quantity, and can you afford to have like $10,000 sitting on a shelf for a year, type of thing. So
that's true. There
is that.
Yeah. So, but like I said, Set Supply set up this year, and that was two different makers. That was Ed Soul's Customs Creations, and then Todd, TM Hunt Custom Knives. And man, we had such a blast. All weekend long, we were hanging out at the booth talking. There were 4 of us. It gave everybody the opportunity to walk off, go check out the rest of the show, which I never get to do at any show. I'm always stuck right there, but I have fun doing it, but I don't get to see people.
Right on. Was it a pretty good turnout? I mean, how's that kind of looking now? I mean, after, and I don't want to drag out but I'm just kind of curious. Like, I know in the past, it's been a huge event. I really didn't see a whole lot about it this year until you kind of started talking about it.
Well, it's weird because, algorithms and things. I mean, I don't know how much I trust most of that stuff, but it's what they want to let you push, right? Yeah. I get, so 2022, I think, was the first show since the COVID thing. And I want to say that was our first show that we were able to go to. And it was insane. It was like people were waiting to be let out of the gates. Like, it was just massive. Like, the turnout was amazing. I didn't go in 23. Todd didn't go in 23, so I can't tell you there. But this year, they had like an annex room. I call it the annex, like they were exiling us. But they put us in a separate room. And when I was there in 22, the traffic wasn't as good. A friend of mine, Auxiliary Manufacturing, he was there in that room when he first started. He came from Reno, Nevada, and he's like, man, this room's not got a lot of play in it, but it gives me time to go meet network. Well, then this year, fast forward, he's in the main room. We started over because we came back with Set Supply and bought a booth, and it sets you back at like ground zero. You have to work your way back up. You went from a table to a booth, which a booth is higher real estate, so it's going to cost more. And I told him, I said, well, we're in the room. He goes, how is it now? I said, man, it's insane. Like, there are people constantly circulating in there. Like, it wasn't, I don't think it was packed, but people knew about the room at least. So there was a lot more traffic happening everywhere. But I feel like there was just as many people this year as there was 2 years ago. But it was also, people knew the layout a little better. So maybe that's what helped us.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of wondering, if that just word kind of travels. Hey, just on that note, let's just we got a couple comments. Sure. One specifically, I think, well, 2 for you, but one I'm not. Gene, okay. Gene from across the pond, brother. I'm about to read your comment. I'm a little confused, so don't think I'm dogging on you, Gene. But we got Big Visk in the house. He's a regular. He says howdy, everybody. Then we got Gene from across the pond, also a regular. And this is where I may, even though we speak the same language, those English, their bloody accents and how they, sentence structure. Probably it's the correct sentence structure, and that's why I can't read it. Sounds like the only Murphy people would want to turn up in a sand pit. Not 100% sure what that means.
I'm going to take that as a compliment.
I was going to say, if I know Gene, that's a compliment right there. And then we got Big Visk kind of just wrapping up kind of the Blade Show comment. He was supposed to make it out there this year. I was unable, and says hopefully he'll make it next year. World's largest knife show. Got to be awesome. Final comments on that from your side, Murph, and then we'll kind of go into campfires.
Do you know Big Visk?
Not personally. No. I mean,
okay. I didn't know if you knew him or anything about him. Yeah, dude, definitely get down there. It's amazing. I can't promote it enough. And I probably should promote it more, actually. That's the problem is I went private on my Instagram, and I, not for any reason other than I just didn't want stuff out there floating in the ether, but, I should promote it more. Blade Show's amazing. It's so family friendly. You hear these, have you heard the ads for, take a kid to a car show? I don't know if you've heard those. We've got them around here for some reason on the radio. I don't know that anybody listens to the radio anymore, but we have those. And I always thought, take a kid to a knife show, man. It's a tool. It's a tool just like anything else, just like a car. A car is a conveyance. It's A to B. You don't have to walk. And that's what a knife is. A knife is so you don't have to use your damn teeth or your shitty fangs that nature gave us in your claws. Like we just don't have the adequate stuff as far as to make things happen without our awesome brains that allow us to make things happen. So yeah, I mean, take a kid to a knife show and show them that they can do stuff with their hands. They can make things, and there's a world of creativity out there. Yeah.
No, and I like how you just did that. That kind of actually goes back, when you were talking about what, drew you into the knife world as opposed to, the gun world and that whole same thing. Like, again, to me, all of these are just tools. Yeah. And there's areas in which you can sit and argue ballistic coefficients and all that kind of stuff. I mean, because, obviously this round might not be the appropriate platform or round or, however you want to break it down component wise for long distance, but this is better at that. And again, it's just a different tool, hey,
Yeah.
This thing works great, but if I can't conceal it and I needed to be concealable, like, even if I'm just breaking the upper and lower and putting in a small little rucksack, like think of an MP5 or something like that. So it always has amazed me in that world. I agree with you on that one. And we never really have talked about that, but I get it. People can be very passionate about their hobbies and even if this is what you do for a living and keeps you alive and keeps your buddies alive, but again, at the end of the day, I like how you kind of said, because I heard a little bit of, this is just a tool in a toolbox. And then I know this is going to be a weird segue, but I think that segues into the campfire, like, because when we're doing this and we're like, just, not seeing each other and not talking, I'm not saying you and I'm saying, this is where I think social media is bad. Everybody will just sit and poo-poo and shit on each other and badmouth. But if we were all around a campfire, how would that conversation go? It would be very different, wouldn't it?
Yeah. You hear all
that as maybe a segue to bring into campfires?
No, I like it. I got what you were putting down there. I was like, a campfire is just a tool, right? It's just a tool to get people together. It's you and I have talked about it. There's so much community around a fire, and the opposite of a keyboard warrior is a campfire. You get that same dude that's talking smack about whatever it is on the internet that hates his life and is just lashing out at you or him or her or whatever. I don't care. You bring them to a campfire, dude, they're going to be a completely different person. Chances are, actually, they're probably going to be the introvert that's standing over there in the corner trying not to be called out. That's what it's going to be. But the cool thing about a campfire is we're not going to call you out. We're going to bring you in. We're going to say, hey, anytime I've been anywhere, and I say a campfire because I spend a lot of time in campsites and community gatherings and just hangout places. I mean, anything knife related I've ever done. We have talked about it, I guess, is where we started talking about the whole campfire thing, I think, is Ethan Becker used to have these things called Beckerhead gatherings. And it was a play on the Peckerhead thing, right? It's a Beckerhead. So we used to have these gatherings, and it didn't matter who showed up. You didn't know. It was just random people from the internet. And at the time, I was still married, and my ex-wife and I are driving down, and I'd met these people on the internet, and I said, hey, do you think we're crazy? Or do you think I'm crazy for dragging you down to the middle of the woods in Tennessee, which he no longer lives in? But I said, if we're headed down there, do you think I'm crazy for dragging you in the woods with a bunch of strangers that we met on the internet? And she was like, well, babe, at the end of the day, we all like knives, and we all like this guy's knives in particular. Like, that's what drew us there. I said, yeah. She goes, so we've all got that in common, no matter what. I'm like, okay, cool. That's right. So we did. We got there. Everybody was cool. I mean, it was everything from nuclear engineers to a hand surgeon to it was amazing. I mean, just a lot of blue collar workers, just whatever it was, and nobody lorded anything over anybody. I've been to some SE gatherings. It's the same way. Everybody hangs out. It's all about, especially when you bring your kids and the SE gatherings I've done, or not SE gatherings, but the SE classes I've done, SE knives. The things I've done there, they've all been like kid related, like bring your kid, show them how to survive in the woods, because they're really big into that because of the search and rescue work they do. And dude, it's so amazing to watch all these, because you look at little kids have no problem on a playground going out there and making new friends. As adults, we don't do that. We have our preconceived bullshit that we don't do that. We just go, hey man, I don't like that guy because he's wearing that shirt. Little kids don't do that. They go, cool, let's go play. You want to go down the slide with me? You want to push, jump on the swings with me? We don't do that as adults. And I'm not saying you need to go out and just grab the most random person and do something with, because that's how you get abducted. But it's just like, hey man, why can't we just talk about something? There's something somewhere that we have common ground on. Let's just talk about it, and don't focus on the shit we don't like. So maybe don't lead with politics. Maybe don't lead with religion. Maybe lead with whatever you're doing at the time. Just talk about how great it is and see if that person agrees. If not, switch lanes and go to something else. I mean, there's community in everything. You just got to be open to it.
So this wasn't, and I totally unscripted, unplanned. I was in the grocery store last week, and again, there's the campfire is a common denominator. That's why I just love the concept when you first said it to me. But on that kind of same note, I just saw a random guy in the grocery store, and my watch isn't anything great, but if same type of thing. If you're into this kind of stuff, you're like, if I see you with a knife or a hat or a pair of glasses or a watch, it's an immediate, and maybe that's the CIA spy part of me too, because you would focus on that stuff because it's a great intro, right? It's like, hey, that's really interesting. Tell me more about it. But that's what it is, though. That's what a campfire. It's like again, you don't have to lead with politics or this, that, or the other. It's like, hey, that's a cool watch. Or hey, hey, I saw you earlier. You had that, like you said, I got a Becker, and I apologize, I'm going to get some of the nomenclatures wrong, but I got a Becker 340 or whatever that knife is that you're, I'm saying, and you're gonna be like, hey, I've been meaning to get one. Tell me about that. Or I saw your sheath, and that's really cool. And now you're sitting there telling me about the maker, the sheath maker. The fire's crackling. Maybe we're having adult beverage, the smell of animal flesh roasting or whatever is, you're starting to get hungry. And then suddenly it's just like, the things that really matter are the only things that we're really talking about. And then maybe by the end of the night or the next day, you're like, okay, maybe now you're bringing in some politics, but now you've got a better common ground. You've got a better understanding of who these people are. And you're just not as keyboard warrior, like you kind of said, which so many people are nowadays on the internet, When Murph just and I'll bring it back over to you, but just to let everybody know, when we first started talking about this and you introduced that idea, I can't do it, but I really wanted this to be I wanted this to be always around outside and at campfire. That's what my ultimate goal was. Just like there's the fire in the foreground, the camera, and then me and a couple guests, or too hard to pull off, but a no shit campfire. So the moment you said that, I was like, oh, hats off. Yeah. He doesn't just eat crayons. That man is smart.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't just eat them. I actually use them to write notes and stuff for my daughter in the morning. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, and maybe that's part of it too, is like switch gears. Like, you see, I don't know, I'm a part of a lot of gear centric, Facebook groups and forums and things. And I've been a part of those for many years just because I use gear and I want to know what everybody else is using or what they think of something. Well, part of my naivety is thinking that, hey man, they're going to tell me what gear is really good. No, they're going to tell me what gear they like and that my gear sucks. That's what they're going to tell me. That's what it boiled down to. And part of that is like, we need to switch gears and say, hey man, just because you walk up to the campfire with I don't know, just give me a random, like a cold steel knife. It doesn't mean you're poor or that you're stupid or that you don't really know anything about knives. That's your entry level knife. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's the best you could afford. You didn't know anything about it. Maybe you showed up with Grandpa's Buck 110. I mean, so don't sit in it and judge that person and go, hey man, you suck because this, or that knife really sucks. I remember my first knife, haha, LOL, all that other crap you read in the comments. Instead, switch gears and go, holy cow, man, cool. Welcome to the fire. Why do you like that knife? Well, hey, you might also like this. Or, hey, I started out with one of those too. Now I keep it in a shelf because it means so much to me as my first knife. Maybe switch gears and try this. This is a cool blade about the same cost. I mean, there's ways to approach it in everything in life, not just on the internet, not just around the campfire. But like I said, it's a community, man. I mean, that's what we need to do is we need to start pumping each other up a little bit instead of tearing each other down. And you just don't see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah. Take a nice, I don't know. Matter of fact, how about we just kind of take that as a nice little segue into, again, if you don't understand what we're talking about for campfire, Murph just said it right there. I mean, and I think that same comment, whether around the campsite, around the lake where you're fishing, or, out in the woods hunting, or on the trail, if you're just through hiking, or you're in the grocery store, and somebody's, whatever, got kids, whatever. There's so many different ways that we could approach so many of these things. And, I don't want to say de-escalation, because it's not like I'm saying, I don't think you're saying, hey, but everybody knows what we're talking about. Because
elevate, lift people up, right? You're not de-escalating yourself. You're elevating somebody else up. Hey, come into the fold, man. Come in here and warm yourself by the fire. Hang out. I mean, that's what it is.
Yep.
How many times have you seen it with beer? We've talked beer a little bit, and I've told you, and I don't care what your choice is on beer. Some people choose to drink Bud Light. Some people choose to drink PBR. I mean, whatever your choice is, that's fine. I stopped drinking that stuff a long time ago and started getting sillier and drinking different beer. But when somebody walks up and says, hey, here's a Bud Light, unless I really know them, I'm not going to give them shit. And if I know them, I'm only giving them shit just to give them shit. I'm not judging their beer, because, like I said, one of the best beers I've ever had in my life is somebody handing me, like a Natty Light or a Bush or something for helping them bale hay. I mean, that's one of the best beers you can have, is somebody saying thanks. And it doesn't matter what flavor it is, doesn't matter anything about that. But if you're a beer snob, say, hey man, cool, thanks, like, awesome. Don't talk shit about it. Just enjoy it.
Yeah. And then the next time around, reciprocate with your beer snobby beer. And and if everybody kind of wrinkles their nose at it, don't be offended. That person's palate is different from yours, and just is. But I want to kind of come back to the best beer. We were, talking earlier about, foot marches, Volksmarching. There's almost nothing better than, in my humble, stupid opinion, a beer. I don't care what it is, just a beer, and then like a piece of cheese and a piece of bread, or even just a cheese sandwich. But I'm talking like in Germany, everybody, like, I suppose maybe with a regular loaf of bread, but it wouldn't quite be the same. But like a roll, like you just got done doing 12 miles or 20, whatever you just did. And, this is your time off. This is what you just did for recreation. And kind of to your point, Murph, it's not really a campfire, but it is a campfire. It's that shared experience. Some people only did 5K, some did 10. You look at some 80-year-old German dude, and he just walked 10 kilometers, with his wife, and now everybody's hanging out, having a beer and a sandwich. After that, again, not necessarily a shared hardship, but people were out enjoying nature and out walking and doing some physical activity to it. Same as the damn campfire, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, no, it's interesting you said that, because, like I said, we've talked rucking a little bit. In the Marine Corps, we called it humping, and I know that's not PC, but in the Army they call it rucking. Nowadays, it's become more mainstream with Go Ruck and other rucking based companies. A lot of marathons. I do a half marathon here in town. You can check it out. It's like the millracemarathon.com or something. They give away a Dodge truck every year, and it's a whole thing. It's cool. It's also a Boston Marathon qualifier if you're looking for that. But it's one of those things that they have a rucking division now, because it's getting so popular. It's people walking with weight on their back, A to B, with a purpose. Think about mall walking back in the day when people used to walk malls, and it's doing that. So at a speed of about 3 to 4 mile an hour, that's not standard. You can do whatever you want. If you're a 1.5 mile an hour, that's fine. Doesn't matter. Show up and carry whatever you want, as long as you got a pack with some weight in it. 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 40 pounds, I don't care. But it, like you said, it's definitely it's a shared hardship. It's interesting you said too about the bread thing, because Ethan and I were talking. He's big into his German heritage from way back in the day, and he said, we were talking one day. He said, "What do you carry when you go out in the woods?" And I said, "Well, when I do hikes, I found the easiest thing for me to carry is either those like cheap bags of pepperoni you get at the grocery store that aren't refrigerated or anything. They're just hanging there. It's like Bridgeford or something. Get a pack of that, just a cheap like $2 loaf of bread from their local bakery, and some cheap ass like Kraft cheese, like a block of cheese, and maybe an apple. And that's all you need." And he goes, "Man," he used to do a lot of caving. He goes, "I used to carry that same basic loadout in my caving kit bag." And we got to talk about this caving bag too offline. But anyway, he was talking about it, and he said, "Man, that's the basic same thing I carry." He said, "Have you ever had I'm going to screw up the name. but it's like a German meat. It's like a, because they're big into like smoked meats and stuff. That's what she said. And it was like a whole thing about, I want to say it's called like Landsjäger or something. Does that sound right?
It could be. I mean, those are two German words that just combine.
Yeah, I think it's like long hunter. It's like their kind of sausage that a hunter would take hunting, and it's dried, it's smoked, it's perfect for traveling. And I think that was the idea. And I was like, holy cow, man, I do carry that. And I basically carry that same loadout. So it's kind of a modern version of it, but still it was for a single dude with a kid and a mortgage and stuff. $10. I could drop that, and I could make a good hike. I could make a day hike out of that and enjoy myself and have a lunch by the lake.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And on that note, so I'll bring this up. So Dustin, who makes handcrafted cowboy boots, by the way, he's a kick-ass human being. So he's asking a question about Volks marches. He goes, do they still give out the medals for Volks marches? So I haven't been over there since 2002, Dustin. So I'm not 100% sure if there's anybody who's been recently stationed over there or is from Germany or has relatives over there chime in. But when I was over there, and matter of fact, and Murph and I were just talking about this a little bit earlier in the pregame, because this came up in our conversation. And when I was there, still had the books, you still had your entries, you still got your medals, and then you were still working towards your, whatever your personal goal was and all that. So yeah, back in the, the early 2000s, Dustin, yeah, they still did it. I know that's 20 years ago, kind of dating myself. Oh, I'm so old and feeble, but so I don't know what they're doing anymore. Hey, but Murph, if you want, that's actually not a bad segue right there. I mean, we're at 36 minutes, but again, this is just going by so damn fast. I think I'm gonna, I have to sit. I'll sit and talk to you offline, but I got to rethink how I'm doing these live streams going forward as well. But how about we use that Volks March? Well, actually, I got to do one thing before I do that. I apologize, everybody, but Murph said something. I just want to
woo thing.
Yeah, I just got to do this. You talked about something. So can you see that note right there?
The meat bag. What's that?
We'll talk offline, sir.
You okay. All right. Cool.
You mentioned something. Yeah. So we'll just hang out there.
The meat bag sounds like a really cool, like, I don't know, Christian rock band.
Oh yeah, I don't mind Christian rock. I got some Christian rock, but
yeah,
for me, it's so if Valley Reb is watching this, Valley Reb sees this. Valley Reb had sent me a picture about something, and I got so excited and stoked. I have to make this, but the name is actually stolen from Futurama because the robot Bender always calls humans. He calls humans meat bags. So I just love that name. So. But so we'll talk offline on that. But but the whole so we kind of talked about campfire, and I think everybody should get that. And I want to actually come back to that maybe in another podcast and then further examine that. But to try to cram 5 pounds of meat in our 5 pound meat or 10 pounds of meat in our 5 pound meat bag here, we're kind of just start talking about rucking, which kind of to me leads over to resiliency. And so if you don't mind, maybe tell me and I'll put up your Instagram is private. And, I'm sure everybody understands it's his Instagram account. It's private. But, if Murph gives you the north, south, east, west, you'll see a lot of stuff. Now, Murph didn't really say this, but he's big into physical fitness. He's big in resiliency. So that warrior ethos, that warrior mindset from his time in the military clearly has carried with him through his life. So can you maybe use the rucking kind of conversation and maybe just bring that into just resiliency? Like, don't quit. Don't, like, hey, you're maybe broken, but there's so many things that you can do and we should all be working towards that. Does that make sense? Am I kind of giving you a softball to hit or did I confuse that?
No, I think so. If I'm straying, give me my left and right and get me back on target. But, yeah, no, I absolutely, I think you're right with the resiliency thing. I say it all the time is one thing I learned from my time in service, no matter what, is when you think you've reached your limit, you're probably just starting to feel uncomfortable. I'm not a huge Dave Goggins fan, but he is a guy too that will tell you you're always you have maybe got 80% left more in the tank than you think you do. If you're going, man, this sucks, I'm tired. No, that's when you're starting to probably get your stride. Like, if you look at a wolf and it's taken off after, whatever, a herd of caribou, wolves are able to hit this lope, is what they call it. And they kind of get this like, trot. And they know, just like humans do, that we can outlast that animal. It's just going to hit a sprinting speed and it's going to stop and have to feed or lay down. We'll catch up to it. It's resiliency. Animals have it intuitively. We have our stupid brains that say, man, it's easier just to sit down and just take a break. Don't take a break, man. Just keep moving. That's when you push through. You break through that. And I'm not some, whatever, name your YouTube IG influencer of the day. I'm not that guy, but I also know that like I can do more than I want to do. Now, does that mean I always do more than I should do? No, I sit on the couch just like everybody else. I've got a Saint Bernard. I think we talked about it earlier, and she's very much the dog she can go out that door when I first get here, and she runs laps around the house and goes crazy and looks like a thoroughbred. And then she comes in here and lays down and just drops. I'm like, same chick. I'm the same way. I do it sometimes too. I get excited about the stupidest thing. I come in here and lay down, and then I go, well, shit, I laid around all day. I didn't do anything. Excuse me. Damn. But yeah, I think that's what you're saying is that, man, you just got to push through. You got to just try to do better. Just try to be better. And, it's like this hat. I think I'm wearing a hat right now that says suck less. Just try to suck less. That's all it is. It's all it boils down to is when you think you're done, you're probably not. Well, you're definitely not. If you just think you're done, you're definitely not. You can always go further. You've got more in the tank no matter what. And that does apply to drinking, but I don't mean it for things like that. Like that can also work in excess and for bad habits, but also maybe just reapply it, switch lanes, go to something good. Like, hey, I can do 20 push-ups. Okay. No, you can probably do 21. Just because it's not 25 doesn't mean it's not validated. Do 21 and do that for a while until you can do 22. Pretty soon you're doing 25. If you're having a hard time moving with any weight at all, you like rucking. We were talking about rucking. Man, just drop the ruck and just get up and walk around your block. If it's once, if it's 3 times, you're always lapping the guy on the couch, no matter what. I don't care how slow you're going, you're lapping the guy on the couch.
And that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up, because you and I had talked about that a couple of weeks ago. So, I'm now, and I'm not totally physically ready, but I'm starting, and I've got to probably slow myself down so I don't do that stupid guy thing and do too much and then re-injure myself. But to your point, rather than sitting on the couch, at least, when I first started walking after my, like, I'm just walking. I don't care if it's a half mile with no weight on my body or it's a full mile with 20 or 40, but it's something is better than nothing. Right. So that's that resiliency. That's that kind of same thing. The campfire. Well, how did you get to the campfire? Well, to get to that place, you probably had to do something. You had to hike in, you had to set up camp. Maybe it's just even a campfire and your truck's right behind you, whatever, but you're still out there getting some stuff done. And that is still, in my opinion, at least a form of some type of resiliency, because somewhere in your brain housing group, there's some part of you that's saying, get off the couch and get outside and do something. That's kind of what I don't want to say.
Well,
you kind of did that. So,
well, the vehicle wise, like you said, I mean, you get these guys now that are, and I'm not judging them or saying anything about them, but these guys that are overlanders, right? Which is awesome. You're still getting out there camping. You're getting out there, whether you're rolling in a wheelchair, which, hey man, good on you. If you can roll in a wheelchair and get up in a lifted Jeep with a rooftop tent or your own hammock or whatever you want to sleep in, and you can roll out there and drive to something like, I don't know, bushcraft or something, Georgia bushcraft. You roll down to something like that or some local gathering. There's somebody somewhere that is hosting something that you can be a part of that's a positive. You don't always have to just, sit on the internet and hate on life. There's other options.
And that's part of that resiliency. Resiliency is both mental, physical, the whole 9 yards, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. All right. Hey, we're at 45 minutes. And I think that's actually almost like one of the best, most like perfect little segues into the time zone right there with the conversations that I've had. And So I'm kind of thinking here right now, my good man. Let's see if anyone comes up with any final conversations or any questions here at the end for you.
Hey, before I forget, I found it. My EDO. I found it.
I'm going to give you the final 5 minutes or so. But
yeah,
okay. So shit just gets hidden, right? So don't give up, right? Never quit. It's going to be somewhere, unless your dog ate it or something, right? So
I'm still missing a fiddleback forge knife. I don't know where it's at, but yeah, I'm missing a lot of things. But that showed up at least.
So was that just in some random bin that you had, or like in a ruck or something, or
what was it? Top shelf of my dresser that I never look at. Yeah, so it was there. It like a bachelor. It was hidden in plain sight. I just never go to that quarter of the room.
That's usually how that happens. Mm-hmm. For me, though, I think I really do have to this summer just go through all my bins. I do these charity auctions, charity garage sales. We're trying to get another one going on this summer. Just go through all my bins. That's usually how I find shit too. Like I doing something like that. Oh gosh, here's a roll of webbing I had 6 years ago and I forgot about, type of thing. So, yeah, and here, let's see if you'll throw me under the bus. One of my other friends with a military mindset, I'm talking about like, dude, I should just get my bins organized and just have an inventory sheet, whether it's taped on the inside or the outside. But here's you're laughing. That's a dumb idea, isn't it?
No, that's a staff NCO or officer way of doing it. I would never do it. I'd go, it's in that pile over there. I know where it's at. I'll find it later.
And that is half the fun of just digging through your stuff. But that's also then like, to some extent in my, and maybe it is a staff NCO officer thing. Right. I was both. So, but yeah, but I don't think I'm going to do that. But there is a part of me that feels like I need to, because, you're mentioning knives and, I can't even tell you how many times in a 30-day, span of just a month, I'm like, where in the F is that effing bleepity bleepity? And, unfortunately, mine's not just sitting right out in the open. I think my shit's buried in, one of 20 different bins, that aren't labeled. And,
well, then you need more knives, because if you have them and they're everywhere, then you always have a knife. You have a sharp tool. Before I forget, because this is a question I always ask everybody. Are you carrying a knife right now? Because I always ask what's in your pockets, but I don't want to go that far because that's who knows. But what do you have a knife in you? Do you have a knife with you?
So I actually had, because I just did do a little quick ruck before we started this. Just
okay, yeah. We talked about it.
Yep. So I kind of am, I'm not naked, but I'm not carrying everything I normally carry. And normally I carry a winger. I've got a nice little winger blade that I mounted to a different. Well, I can't remember if he made the sheath or if I just had another one that worked, but I can cross draw. So I wear it in my front and, I can draw with my left or I can draw with my right. It's kind of right up in my center line. And, and kind of to that point, this is, could I use it as a defensive blade? I certainly could, but let's just be honest. I mean, for what I'm doing, cutting open plastics or cardboard, and I use that thing probably 10 times a day, just cutting stuff open,
So you don't have it on you though?
No, it's right over there though. I mean, if you wanted me to go get it.
Can you grab it? I want to see it. I want to see, because I want to see your winger. No, you were talking about it. I want to see what it is, because we had talked about this prior too. Like, what? You're still mic'd up, right? Like, you still hear me?
Oh yeah, you're good.
Okay, yeah. So you were talking about this. Yeah. Which one is it?
So when it's on my person, it's like this, and it's up in my center line, so I can draw left-handed if I want, or if I draw right-handed, and then here's and I don't know if he makes these anymore. This is old, right?
Maybe.
But
yeah,
really cool. Kind of going back to what you're saying, I really like the handles that he's got it. And look, that's so old. I mean, and to your point, that patina on there, that's so much oil, from my hands and everything.
Yeah.
That's not the same color it was. That's just. And that's why, knives can be just really cool.
Yeah. So I'm getting way too close to the camera. I'm sorry, people, but I was looking because I was like, man, that's so cool. So what I have is, I don't know how to get this without it screws things up.
Is that that's a winger too, isn't it?
That's a winger. That's a winger. He calls it
I have that.
He calls it a talon.
I have that same.
Dude, that was his shop knife. Oh, look, you can see it better there. Oh, that's even better. So he has a talon. A talon is the shit, because like I said, the whole idea is our claws, our fangs suck. That right there, that gives you what you need to do the thing. Whatever it is, doesn't matter if it's nefarious or otherwise. That to me is cool.
Just kind of the motion you just did. So
yeah,
that knife is in that's in my deer processing. because that
Absolutely.
getting up inside of rib cage or places where you can't really see. And then so Evan Sambita has another small, not quite the same shape, but the same thing. It's nice. It fits perfectly in your hands. And so when you're up inside of areas where you're maybe a little uncomfortable and you might cut yourself, but it's the perfect, it's the perfect knife for getting up inside there and getting that job done.
So while I'm thinking about this is what I was telling you. I think because we talked about 7 hours outside of this and maybe a phone call way back in the day when I first ordered some. I got your TDC, right? Like this thing. I love this thing. I was trying to build a kit. I think I told you based on this neck knife kit that Ethan carries, that Dave McIntyre inspired. So one of the things I was doing is you always want a light, right? So you can shine a light if you're wearing this around camp. If you go to bed in your hammock camping. I don't know if this messes with my mic. I'm sorry. Get over yourself. But so you got this light here. You got this light that allows you to see to walk to the bathroom or whatever. And then you got your compass in case you get lost because you're going to the bathroom and you're an idiot. But you open this up, you got your lighter for a way to start fire. And there's, all kind of 5Cs and 10Cs and all kind of other dumb shit you can do. You got a whistle for signaling, hey, dumbass, I walked away from the fire too far. And then you got a tool to cut stuff with because we like to cut stuff. We're humans. And this particular one is a County Com, I don't know, something. It's a carbon fiber something scalpel. I don't know. I picked it up a long time ago and never used it. But that's where I put that because I tried to put a winger in it, and I'm gonna come back to this. I tried to put a winger in it. What's that? Was that
the? I think he called that the aphid. That was a long time ago. Was that?
Yeah, it was the aphid or the aphid. It was the aphid or the aphid XL. But I have it on a what do they call it? A ulti clip or ulti clip or Utila clip. I can never remember. But anyway, I have one of those. Yeah. And I like a dumbass, I put it back here in this pocket where the compass is now. And being an idiot, that I'm very good at doing those, or doing the idiot thing, is I cut that piece of webbing right there. And so now I've decided I'm going to use that scalpel thing and keep it on the inside. But dude, I mean, Winger makes some great knives, just like you make some great nylon gear. I mean, it's well thought out. And this is not a commercial. This is just me saying it's well thought out. I rely on it. If I had to fall back on it, I know it's going to do the job I ask it to do. No questions asked. Right.
So what I kind of like about everything you just said, so we just kind of started some very specific knives, but the overall takeaway to me anyway is, and you said this earlier, okay, maybe you don't have I'm just, whatever,
like a top of the line knife. Yeah. Whatever the cool thing is.
Whatever you have, right? Because that's County Clump, right? And they make another little scalpel version thing, like whatever you have, but you definitely need something like that, right? And so again, like I said, because there's 10C, get back, there's all kinds of different ways of saying it, but you have to have some of these tools because, as you pointed out so very accurately, I have no fangs. These claws are worthless. Like I don't even know how well they'd even hurt if I punched.
They're insufficient. Right? I mean, yeah.
So having those tools with you, and knives are definitely a place where I know people like, oh, what do you carry a knife for? I'm like, you don't carry a knife? That's like crazy. Like, okay, maybe I'm not walking around with a Leatherman. Actually, I do have a Leatherman on me. I have a Gerber tool, but so you see what I'm saying? Something. You've got to have something, man. Come on, people.
It's funny because I used to think that, and I'm sure it's going to change every year, every day. I used to hear this thing, no matter what religion you have or think you have. That's my dog. My dog is my religion.
Anyway, I think he was reminding you and everyone that yes, he is your God. He is your
God. It's a she. That's even worse. She's very okay with voicing her opinion. But it's one of those things that's like, hey, I don't even know where I was going. She broke my train of thought like a female.
Hey, okay. We're going to give you the final comment here in a second. I'm just going to pop up some comments that people have that we haven't got to here at the end. So Tennessee says David Goggins, ring a bell. I mean, that's what we were kind of getting at right there.
Yeah. Dude, absolutely. David Goggins.
Yeah. Look, I just did a little stupid video that I'll put on a short, just kind of showing off the rucksack. And I made that same joke. I'm like,
I
this
want
ain't
to
gonna
see
be
this rucksack.
well, yeah. Well, I'll have it on Thursday. Well, maybe once we're done, I'll show you a little bit behind the scenes right now. But I am going to have it on Thursday. But yeah, but I just did a little thing, and I'm not going to do any Dave Goggins. I'm not walking around with my shirt off. I mean, not only that, but like, you guys get it from the military. I'm like a ground flare. You're supposed to close your eyes and not move.
Target indicator is what we call them.
Yeah. I'm one of three colors: white, red, or peeling. So that's pretty much how I've ever been. But then we got Big Vis coming in here with a comment kind of. And I'm going to bring this over to you. So, and maybe this is a good takeaway for the outro, and I'll leave you with the outro. Big Vis says, the people who always ask, why are you carrying a knife, are the first ones to ask for your knife when a knife is needed. Kind of seems that way, right? Why are you carrying a knife? And they'll be the first people saying, hey, does anybody have a knife that I could use?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. I mean, I see it all the time. Like I said, I think I've said it earlier. I'm raising a daughter, and I don't want her to. I want to raise her to rely on the right people, but I also want her to be able to provide for herself. And one of the ways I do that is by teaching her about quality tools. So if that means a quality knife that you always have on you, or a quality firearm, a quality mode of travel. Like I've given her my old Jeep Wrangler. I was like, kid, this is an awesome first vehicle. I mean, there's so many things you can do with that. You want them to have the right tools. So even if you have I implore you, if you're one of those people that are throwing out something, if you're talking about your gear sale, if you're like, hey, I'm getting rid of something, a quality cutting, like a Swiss Army knife, you're like, it's like I'll sell it for 50 cents at a yard sale. Give it to a kid. I mean, as long as their parents are okay with it, give it to a kid, teach them how to use it. It's a teaching moment. It's going to connect you with the community. It's going to make a lasting impression, and it's going to move that quality tool on down the line. That's what you want to do. So just make sure that, whatever you do has an impact for the positive, for the good. And like I said, knife wise, I don't know. I don't know why more people don't carry knives, because I clue into that. I tell people all the time, I said, knives to me are like cleavage. Like, I'm going to focus on that just like I do cleavage. I'm going to see a woman. If a woman's carrying a knife, I will always notice that in her pocket. I'll be like, dude, that chick's got a knife. That's awesome. I don't care what it is. If she pulls it out and it's like some busted ass gas station knife, cool. You see the value of carrying a knife. You know what's up. That's cool.
Yep. Hey, we got just one comment coming in there. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to throw a little personal story. I won't say who it is. They've been on actually our Mission Critical. They've been on some of the things I've done. And they did not have a knife. And to your point, like, so that's just weird to me, right? Like, I have knives, and I don't even know where half of the knives, and they don't, to your point, they don't all have to be top line badass, but this bag, there's a knife in my vehicle. Yeah. There's a knife in this bag. There's a knife here. There's, it's just, again, it's a tool I don't ever want to be without. And I used to kind of be that way with like Leathermans and things like, I'd have micro tool, all that stuff, because you need that shit. Right. And sure. On that point, and maybe this will be our great outro. We're kind of, again, this has been an hour and it feels like 6 minutes, and it's been almost 6.
I'm sorry. I told you, rein me in. Yeah.
No, it's so hard. I don't think 30 minutes is appropriate. And so I'm actually, just on that note, letting everybody know, I am thinking about doing this differently starting in July after the 4th. We might only do this 1 day a week, because I also still want to do like gear videos too. And doing this twice a week and then all the other stuff that I'm doing, it kind of is getting to be a little bit too much. So I might have to only do the lives once a week. But if I do that, it's going to be an hour-long show, because this was just, it goes by so quick. It's 30 minutes isn't enough time. And then on that, so kind of bring it over to you here for the end here. Snowshoe Dave, he's referring to a knife. It is not a weapon. It is a tool. He is, I am the weapon. We are, how we use it and what we can craft out of it. And that is, why this is the most dangerous tool of them all, right? Is our brain. Yeah. So, and then Al kind of with one other comment, I always check to see if a good looking woman is carrying a neck knife. Well, if that's how you explain it to your significant other, Al, I mean, that makes sense. Oh, I was looking to see if she had a neck knife, right? Honey's like, yeah, whatever, dude, but All right, take us on out here. We're at almost an hour, Murph, and I really appreciate, my hats off to you for taking the time away from your family to share with everybody your background and your knowledge and your passion. And just, even if nothing else, that concept of let's do more things around the campfire. Let's throw the bullshit out. That's not doing anybody any good. It doesn't, oh, great, your penis is bigger. Whatever, dude. I just don't have any more time for that in my life either. So I think when you first started mentioning that to me, that's why I really fixated on I like it. So wherever you want to go, what do you want to say for your final comments here, sir?
Man, like I said, I don't know. Just be better. Whatever option you have in life is to go A, the bad route, or B, the good route, or however you want to spread that out. Just do the better thing. It doesn't matter if it's slightly harder. If it's slightly harder, at the end of the day, it's more worth it to you.
Yeah.
And it does more good for somebody else, which is always more worth it, or worth it more, however you want to word it. I don't know. Like I said, Midwest and public schooling, fuck you. But it's just do better. Just go out of your way to do better for your community. If you see a kid struggling with their bicycle, offer to help them with it. If you see, some dude on the street having a hard time making things work, help them out. Whatever it is, I don't care, as long as you're not helping them rob the bank or you're not helping them do something nefarious. Just do better. I don't know. I don't know where to go with it. That's honestly, I try to choose the better option unless it's talking shit, and I'm always going to talk shit no matter what it is.
Well, but there's the difference between, because I was just talking to a buddy who was going to help out with a training thing I did last weekend, and then life jumped in, right? And he's got kids and he couldn't do it. And I gave him shit. And, and I'm like, hey, I'm just giving you crap. Of course, he had to do it. He's like, I would have thought it was weird if he wouldn't have given me crap, right? So to what you just said, there's nothing wrong with that. We're supposed to. That's another way of letting everybody know you actually kind of care about them. You're like, if you're not giving somebody a hard time, probably means you don't really like them, or you're not very, you're not in the same community, or you're still just trying to learn a little bit. But that's the thing that guys and look, gals do it too. Gals give each other shit. I've been around girls who are way more brutal than anybody I've ever met in the military, no matter what branch of the service it was. So
yeah. And if they are women that are in the military, watch the fuck out. Jiminy. Do you remember the movie Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood?
Great movie. Love that movie.
Yeah, dude, great movie. And I identify with that dude more and more every day. But the thing where he taught the neighbor kid, was Dow? He taught that kid, like, walking into that barbershop and learning to talk shit and be a grumpy old fuck. Like, that's a valuable life lesson. That's not, you walk in and some guy yells at you. It's not, oh God, I got to go find my safe space. Just go, hey, just meet with equal or greater force, and you'll get some respect, and they'll be like, okay, he's here to play. Sit down. Yeah. We'll cut your hair. That's all it is. All it is.
Yeah. Or you're a real human being. You're not a fake, whatever, impressionable, whatnot. Right. So
yeah. Well, hey, I'm done. I keep derailing us. So keep whatever you got to do to close it out.
No, it's all good. But I just want to end it on, we got two other comments, but to the point you've kind of made here, and I didn't quite finish it. But so somebody who I'm not going to name, but to your point, they didn't have a knife. And, I've got these. So instead of, again, as a guy, I gave that person shit. Like, hang on a second. How old are you? And how do you not have a knife? But, sure. That's just the guy shit talking. And then I gave him a knife because I've got knives. And because that is what and this is a good person, but my gosh, man, how do you not have a knife? Well, I don't know all the circumstances. Maybe it just never was anything that was big in his mindset, or maybe it's, an expense thing, whatever the case is, it doesn't matter. So to your point, kind of tying it into the campfire argument, man, we're at the campfire and I've got extras. Here's one, because you need it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Always pay it forward. Always hook somebody up if you can. If you can, don't always think the worst thing about somebody. Don't think that, well, maybe they're just trying to get something out of me. I mean, it's easy to think when you cruise out of Walmart and there's that guy with the sign. It's, there is the guy that's trying to exploit that constant revenue stream of somebody handing him $1. That's the thing. But there's also the guy that goes, man, I'm really fucked. I'm down on my luck. I've got really bad things happening. I'm here because I know people are leaving and they've got some change in their pocket. Like mostly people are paying with debit card, but some people have their change in their console. They'll hand me something. Like, there is that dude. And for every 100, my statistics, they're made up. But for every 100 people out there doing that, maybe there's 1 or 2 or 5 that are doing it for the right reasons. They're just needing help. Just try to help. Help when you can. That's all it is.
Yeah. No, I think that's, no matter how you phrase that, that is a good message that we all could put, in our hip pocket and carry around with us. Just do what you can where you can, right? All right. I just got some weird note that we just got kicked off of Twitter for some reason on the live stream, but it's okay. We're
X, I think it's X now, so maybe. I got rid of my X a long time ago.
Yeah, so X. But hey, 2 final comments, and then we'll just take it on out and say goodbye to everybody. Great show. Sure. Thank you so very much for coming on here tonight. Tennessee, Tennessee, I think you've already outed yourself a couple live streams ago. Tennessee is a female. So Tennessee says 30 minutes feels rushed. Why would we be in a hurry here? Neck knife in her bra would get someone's attention. And she did like little eyeballs looking. So yeah, that would get somebody's attention. And then Gene, thank you very much, Gene. He said, what a great chat. Thanks to you, and giving you a big shout out, and the thanks to you, Murph. So thank you, Gene, for the comments.
Thank you.
Murphy, thank you for coming on, my good man. Really appreciate it.
Dude, anytime.
Yeah, well, we're going to have you on more. We'll talk a little bit offline here because,
sure.
I mean, we could be talking about foot maintenance for rucking, that resilience. We could talk more knives. We could talk, well, you just kind of even gave a little glimpse of, just having a little fire starting kit and why maybe it's EDC. I mean, there's so much more that could be discussed here. I mean, this could easily be a 3-hour conversation. And
it usually is.
Yeah, but I don't know if I have enough beer to keep up with it tonight. So I'm going to have to, maybe not 3 hours. I know. I saw that. I was so jealous. I saw that.
I do.
Why I did it.
Yeah. This house is very weirdly laid out, but it's laid out properly for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense for you, man. And hey, look, there it is. Boom. Oh, you need another? Boom. There's your speedball right there. Your combat reload right there is right next to
you. Yes, sir.
You don't want to have the huge logistical train and have to walk, 20 feet or 30 feet to get another beer. That's silly, It's a waste of energy.
Exactly. Yep.
Hey, well, so thanks. Hang on though. When I end this, I'll end it in just the live stream, but you and I can chat for just a quick second.
Sure.
As always, thanks to everybody for joining us on these live streams. Stay tuned. We'll have more information what this is going to look like going forward in the future. Probably is going to come down to 1 day a week. Hey, matter of fact, when you watch this on demand, leave me a comment. I'm thinking Wednesdays, doing it in the middle of the week. Let me know what you think. I know there's some people who watch from overseas, and this is a little bit late for them. But if I do it earlier in the day to work for Europe, then it's bad for Asia and it's bad for parts of America. So there's really I'm trying to find a sweet spot. 1700 kind of seems to be about it. But leave me your comments. Let me know if there's a time zone or a day of the week that you would like more than others. But as always, just really appreciate everybody watching the live, leaving comments, asking Murphy some questions. We'll have Murphy on again in the future. So just stay tuned for that. One last comment here. I guess we can, I just saw it pop in. Tennessee, this has been a great one. Thanks to Murphy, and a big shout out for bringing good people to the table. Amen. That's what it's all about. And Murphy didn't get bribed. He's doing this on his own accord, and that's what makes him him. That's what makes him that guy.
I love Tennessee. I'm there all the time. So thank you.
She lives in Oregon. Go figure.
Well, but I'm in Tennessee all the time, which is weird. I've never been to Oregon, so thanks to Tennessee either way.
Yeah, you got it. And Tennessee, I was stationed at Fort Campbell, although that's Kentucky, but you do most of your time down in Tennessee,
Yeah, Clarksville,
Yeah. Well, Nashville, all that kind of crap. So
yeah.
All right, boys and girls, you know the deal. Reach out anytime. If you got questions, comments, I'll do the best I can. One last quick plug. Thursday's live stream is going to be a little bit weird. I'm not 100% sure who all is going to be there. I'm trying to get the guys who are helping out with the charity auction. So I'm trying to get some of the guys from Readiness Training, trying to get Evan Sambita because he's donating a knife for the charity. And we're just going to really sit and get those guys on, talk about what we're doing, and explain how the auction is going to work. And then I'm looking to start that. I think off the top of my head on the 20th of June is when we're going to kick the auction off. So stay tuned with that. So we'll have more coming next week. That's all I got, boys and girls. Thank you very much for your time. Hats off one more time to Murphy for taking the time out of his day to join us. And as always, keep thinking, keep moving, never quit. All right, everybody, be good, and we'll see you in the next one. Woo!